Charles was right to ban Sussex. Harry and Meghan can't gain privilege by sulking. A royal source is reporting that Harry and Meghan are now taking the next steps and trying to discredit the royal family. And this is coming after Harry's father told him a few hard truths. So he told him it was time to put on his pair of big boy bridges and accept the fact that life can never be fully perfect. He told him that the only bully in the family is himself. Harry has also been pitching fits for years now when he doesn't get his way. The man is nearly 40 years old and he acts like a toddler. Harry has never had to worry about how he's going to pay the bills this month. He doesn't have to worry about whether or not the car needs to be fixed and how he's going to pay for it. Harry doesn't have to worry about whether or not he can afford to buy himself a new suit. He doesn't have to worry about where the money is going to come from to pay for the invisible children's clothes. And another thing he does not worry about that a lot of Brits right now are worried about is how he can pay his heating bill. Harry doesn't need to worry about losing his job. He doesn't have to wonder whether or not he can afford to take a vacation. He doesn't have to wonder where the money is going to come from to repair his home. He doesn't have to worry about whether or not he can afford a new TV or how he can fix the internet connection. The list goes on, and then this petulant prince has a nerve to whine about how disadvantaged he is. Really, I'm going to tell you exactly what Harry is. He is a miserable, ungrateful brat. Harry acts like he has suffered so much in his life, but compared to most people in the world, he has lived an incredibly privileged life. Now, what he acts he got until he was told no one can't have any more money unless you're actually held accountable for what you're wanting the money for. And apparently that's when everything changed for him. That's when he transformed into this sulky, petty man-child. Harry doesn't deserve to remain a member of the royal family at all. Meghan convinced him that he could live a life of service outside of the British royal family, but we are still waiting to see if that's ever going to happen. Maybe Harry just cannot cope with the reality of what it's like to have to stand on your own 2 feet. I remember listening to a part of an interview that Meghan did on some American TV show. And she talked about that she spent 8 years learning French, but she could not remember a word of it. Didn't make any sense to me. After 8 years of learning a language, I would expect somebody to be fluent in that language. I mean, I don't want to think that Meghan Markle would lie about something like that, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. If Meghan is willing to lie on national TV, then we can only imagine what she's told to Harry. I'm digressing a little bit, but back to Harry. Harry apparently is under the impression that everything he wants belongs to him and he wants it now. He wants respect, he wants media to leave him alone, but he also wants the media to pay a lot of attention to him. I'm not sure exactly how those two things can exist at the same time, but anyway, his wife is also on talk shows and she has made herself the corner of attention. And to top all of that off, they live in LA. Everybody can see how this is working out except for Harry. Apparently, he is very nice, but also very stupid. It's important to remember too that the Queen gave into 4 of Meghan and Harry's demands in an effort to placate them. It always bothered the Queen how her sister lost an opportunity because she was the spare, she was second born. So she devoted her entire life to making sure that the spare had everything they wanted out of concern and probably a little bit of guilt too. From where I'm standing, that seems like a very good deal for Harry. So what is the problem? He says he doesn't want to have his brother's job. He says that he's set financially. He's living in sunny California now. So what is the deal? He is expecting people to apologize to him because they coddled him his whole life and gave him all the freedom that his brother could never enjoy. It's pretty bizarre that it's an issue for a therapist's office. It's something that should be announced to the whole world. You know what? We never did a wrong thing to him, and he just looks like an idiot to us all. First, Meghan and Harry didn't want to have anything to do with William and Catherine. They didn't want to be on the team of young royals, and then they insisted on their own separate star theme. More than a dozen of this new team was fired during Meghan and Harry's brief period they spent as working royals. Now, apparently, she's despicable. Archetypes once again revealed the hypocrisy of Meghan, the illusion of a Z-list actress. Well, another episode of Archetypes came out this week, and this time I was laughing hysterically as I was listening to Meghan Markle discussing shaming. I rolled my eyes so hard I thought they were going to get stuck in the back of my head because Meghan Markle herself is one of the biggest shamers out there. We all know by now that Meghan Markle helped Scooby-Doo write the book Finding Freedom. Of course, Meghan denied this fact until Jason Off provided the court with emails and texts as well as his personal insider knowledge that directly contradicted her claim that she was so innocent. Apparently, one of the ways that Meghan helped Scooby-Doo was by giving briefing notes to be passed to him. She wanted him to know her version of her past and her family, but unfortunately, as she is usually the case with anything that comes out of her mouth, the briefing notes contained so many lies and Meghan wanted to slut shame her own sister. So in the briefing notes, she wrote that a Samantha had 3 kids from 3 different fathers. Now, the truth is Samantha Markle was married 2 times and she does have 3 children. Her 2 spouses are the fathers of her children. There is no reason at all to bring this to anyone's attention other than to try to slut shame that poor woman. The implication, of course, is that Samantha slept around and this resulted in having children from unstable relationships. She also said that her sister had lost custody of all 3 of her children. There is no evidence whatsoever that Samantha Markle lost custody of her kids at any point in time. So not only is Meghan trying to slut shame her own sister, she also wants to let everybody know that Samantha is an unfit mother. Of course, Samantha Markle is not going to take that lying down, so she filed a lawsuit against her sister. Meghan also goes on to discuss that no matter what achievement a woman obtains, that woman will still be subjected to the phrase she was a slut in college. Okay, well, maybe that was Meghan Markle's experience, but again, she does not speak for all of us. At least she does not speak for me. I mean, honestly, back in college, I wish I could have been a little more slutty. The sad thing is, I was a big nerd and nobody really wanted to sleep with me, but anyway, even if it was true, I'm not going to stand for somebody shaming me over what I want to do with my own body. There is such a double standard between men and women when it comes to sexual history, but that's always been true. So again, Meghan Markle neglected to bring anything new to the table. Now, if you ask me, it's not the people who are trying to shame somebody who are the problem. Instead, it's the women who allow somebody to shame us when we have done nothing shameful. This episode was at least hilarious. Apparently, Meghan has never heard the saying point of a finger at someone, and there are 3 pointing back at you. This woman is just exhausting, and she says women's rights back at least 100 years. It is not ironic that Meghan Markle herself is one of the most guilty people when it comes to slut shaming. I mean, Meghan's slut shaming that really is like the pot calling the kettle black. So watch out, Meghan Markle. I don't know if you've heard this one before, but people who live in glass houses really should not be throwing stones. I know that Meghan Markle claimed that this series was going to be digging deep into the labels that hold women back, but it looks to me like she is using this podcast episodes to correct and make excuses for everything that she thinks people perceive her as and accuse her of. She tries her best to control the narrative with her truth, but as the saying goes, the real truth is always going to come out. Meghan Markle also needs to drop the innocent act. I mean, come on, she has a past in adult videos, and she also did the guest spot on 9210, where she got into a car with a boy she was not in a relationship with and and her part was called the Anonymous Party Girl, and the only scene was her getting into the boy's car to give him a BJ. Or how about her job on Deal or No Deal, where she paraded around wearing skimpy little outfits? She was battling her eyelashes and being as flirtatious as she possibly could. And then she tried to complain that she was being forced into the role of acting like a bimbo, that she wasn't allowed to show her intelligence. All right, Megan, well, you need to quit slut shaming other hardworking women from the show, and also people like Vanna White, the Price is Right models, and the list goes on and on. But Megan did refer to herself as a Caucasian supermodel on her CV, and she did that all the way until she quit that show and she finally got Harry in her claws. And then she decided that she was going to become a black woman now. She decided that she was going to become a black woman. Now, I'm offended on behalf of all the real women of color out there who she's always berating. Meghan only wants white people to work for her, and she treats people with dark skin as basically her servants. There are so many pictures of her sneering so nastily at dark-skinned people, and then there was the time that she pretended like she was gonna kiss a little boy of dark skin color. She actually put her hands over his head so that she could kiss her own hand. And I And then there was this time she pretended that she was going to kiss a little boy of dark skin color. She actually put her hands over his head so that she could kiss her own hand, and I guess she didn't have to get his germs. She herself said she did it so that she wouldn't be sullied by him. What a horrible person. She is an evil woman. She is a self-proclaimed feminist, but she sure does put down women a lot. Every aide who she focused on verbally abused, harassed, and drove out lucrative jobs were all women. She's also said that she's not ever going to work with you and women because you wouldn't give her advocate. She's also said that she's not ever going to work with you and women because they wouldn't give her a big advocate position that she wanted. She first applied way back when she was a Z-list actress, just trying to pad her CV a little bit. She dumped them and she refuses to work with them, and that's why during the Australian tour she left the Australian marketplace engagement early. She demanded that they shouldn't be there, and when she saw that they were, she said horrible things about them and to them, and she left. And then her poor aide was petrified that she might do something to get back at them. You can also see on her camera hissing at the poor woman who is carrying shaking unconscious. You can also see on her camera hissing at a poor woman who is crying and shaking uncontrollably. Meghan Markle is such a snake. She is a venomous Meghan Markle is such a snake. She is so venomous. I could go on, but I think we already know it. And honestly, I'm getting my blood pressure up and I don't need to do that. But anyway, suffice say, I despise that woman with a passion, and I understand a lot you are going to tell me, well, just stop paying attention to her. Ignore her. On the one hand, I agree with you, but at the same time, I think it is important that we stand up to her. We need to expose Meghan Markle for what she really is. Now, the people in my family who are mixed race believe her lies at first, and they asked me how I could live in a place where a family is going to racially abuse its own child. Well, Meghan Markle doesn't have anything to do with my family, but I'm just trying to show her as the liar that she is, and to me, that is important. I do think that Meghan is worried that some scandals from her past are going to come to light soon. So she's trying to best So she's trying her best to twist the narrative so that those who speak about her past are labeling women and not men. Meghan believes that she can cover up the truth with her word salad, but honey, it's gonna work. I understand that some people in Germany and the Netherlands are supporting two of them. They are actually showing up to support them, laying out the red carpet for them, in spite of most people in the UK in spite of most people in the UK and in the US speaking out against the two of them. I guess that's what Meghan and Harry went to Manchester. People were lying in the streets, they were excited and welcoming the two of them, which did cause them to believe that the people of the UK loved them. Meanwhile, the UN speech that Harry gave in New York, almost nobody was there. At the Veterans Gala, there were people booing them, and they needed a big sign just to order people to applaud and stand up when Meghan and Harry entered. At best, we could consider that to be lackluster. They prance around Montecito with little to no interest with anybody They prance around Montecito with little to no interest from anybody at all, and that's why they always trying to get attention. They also did not show for the big New York visit, where Meghan and Harry arrived in the They prance around Montecito with little to no interest from anybody at all, and that's why they always trying to get attention. They also did not show up for the big New York City visit, where Meghan and Harry survived, where Harry where Meghan and Harry arrived in a motorcade of gas-guzzling SUVs. Meghan and Harry insert themselves into everything they can, but I don't see anybody showing up in droves to support them. They are ignored and they are not invited to anything important. They are ignored and they are not invited to anything important. Yet at the same time, people keep criticizing America and saying that we Yet at the same time, people keep criticizing America and saying that we adore them. We don't. We don't. There are people in the UK who also defend and there are people in the UK who also defend and promote Meghan and Harry, just like there are some people in the US who do the same. But even on some of but even on some of the more But even on some of the more liberal stations, people are always making fun of them or openly criticizing the two of them. I'm pretty honest about the problems that my home country America has, but you know what is not fair to I'm pretty honest about the problems that my home country America has, but you know what? It's not fair to blame us for people supporting Meghan and Harry. There are people who are guilty of that all around the world, I'm afraid. And what do you think about Harry and Meghan? Please tell me what you think below in the comments section. If you think my video is helpful, don't forget to like and share with your friends and relatives who need it anytime you want. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos from us. Now, thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye, and I'll be back to see you in the next videos. Her brother Harry secretly plots to ruin William and Catherine at the Earthshot Awards. Allegedly, Harry has arranged with his old friend Usain Bolt to stir up a bit of controversy during William and Catherine's trip to the Caribbean. We saw how much flack Catherine and William got in the news about colonialism and racial justice. Even a nice photo of the locals reaching through a fence to shake the hands of William and Catherine turns into something nasty. Supposedly, the couple arranged this when that Supposedly, the couple arranged this when that was emphatically not true, But when it comes to Harry's very sad choice of a wife, she is so jealous that she can't help herself, and it looks like she is up to her old tricks again. One of the reasons that Meghan and Harry have paid to be One of the reasons that Meghan and Harry have paid to be awarded the Robert F. Kennedy Ripple of Hope Award has to do with them dealing with their terrible structural racism in the monarchy. It was so horrible that they had to run away from the UK in order to move to Canada, or it ended up being Hollywood. So what is It was so horrible that they had to run away from the UK in order to move to Canada, or it ended up in Hollywood. So what is it? Are Meghan and Harry trying to stir up a racism, hoping that William and Catherine are going to face criticism in the US? Well, at this point, I don't think there was anything I would put past the two of them. They do not want William and Catherine to enjoy their time in Boston, even if it's the other side of the country. And Meghan and Harry gonna and Mary are Meghan and Harry going to try to force racism on as once December comes nearer? They could be stirring up the coals of racism right now, but will this choice of theirs really work? Everything Meghan and Harry set out to do is a big failure, or it just blows up in their faces, and a lot of people understand what they're all about right now. People see them as being fake, and people see that they are a couple of self-obsessed hypocrites, and nobody wants anything the two of them are selling. So it looks like the latest move of theirs is just another example of self-sabotage. They clearly just don't get it. Everything they say from those pie holes in their faces just makes themselves look worse. They are basically a couple of snake oil salesmen. Everything they do not just call They are basically a couple of snake oil salesmen. Everything they do just causes people to condemn them even more. When it comes to their word, all right, fine. Let them accept it. It doesn't mean anything to most of us anyway, and I'm sure just like everything else, this is going to be another big failure for the two of them. Their Netflix docu-series is supposedly coming out in December, and I'm sure that's going to be another dismal failure as well. Meghan and Harry have painted themselves into a corner, and they are desperate now. Nothing they do is going to turn things around for them. I think we are witnessing the downfall of them. The final downfall of them. They are finished, and I think they understand that now. So they are going to attempt to enact as much damage as can between now and the coronation. So they are going to attempt to enact as much damage as they can between now and the coronation. Now, Meghan's still clinging on to Harry like he's gonna run away from her, and I always notice that she's nudging him. It's obvious that she's abusive towards him all the times, and she insists on walking ahead of him. They think they're being applauded too, when clearly nobody is applauding the two of them. People are just applauding whatever event that they're at. I get second-hand embarrassment just watching the two of them. I do wonder also why it seems like nobody is noticing how depressed Harry looks. I mean, is nobody trying to help him now? I'm not going to condone their awful behavior, but still I think that Harry needs some serious help. You can see all the signs that he is in a really messed up relationship. Now, apart from anything else, Harry looks so miserable. You can tell that he's neglecting his appearance because he always looks so disheveled. He's lost a lot of weight, and every single time that Meghan touches him, he flinches. I would guess members of the family have tried to help Harry, but the thing about it is, He has to accept the help if he is going to be helped. In many relationships like this, the abuse victim In many relationships like this one, the abuse victim often believes the abuser can change and they think that they are in love with the abuser. I think many people have probably offered to help him, but the royal family is not going to state that publicly. So, of course, we are never going to really know. Hopefully, he will accept some help at some point in time and he'll finally be able to remove himself from the horrible situation and begin the process of healing. Another question many people are asking is, how is it that William and Harry have turned out to be so different? Why is Harry why is Harry such an idiot? And why is he so destructive against his own family compared to William? One royal commentator is saying that incest may have been a culprit for some time. One royal commentator is saying that incest may have been a culprit for some time. One royal commentator is saying incest may have been a culprit for some time. Incest was a factor amongst the blue bloods and royalty. His grandparents were cousins, the family trees were intermingled, they were insistent on keeping their bloodlines pure. With this in mind, a few irregularities were passed down from generation to generation. Mental illness, sexual With this in mind, a few irregularities were passed down from generation to generation: mental illness, sexual addictions, alcoholism, financial problems, rages, epilepsy, emotional problems, learning difficulties, and early deaths. Rules were meant for others, not them. There were a number of relatives who have shot away from the public, yet they did survive to adulthood. They lived quieter lives than the rest of the family and they were pretty easily forgotten, but they were still family members. It could have been Harry's fate a few years ago, but not at this point. Incest may have passed down a few problems to Harry. He really enjoyed fighting and he was a big fan of alcohol. I think he's still in his always loved avoiding his responsibilities by using drugs. He views Meghan Markle as his mother, apparently, and he views his family members as enemies. Harry benefited from people refusing to say no to the royal family. He has always gotten what he wanted, and I think he really does hate his brother and his father. He views his mother Diana as such a pure, innocent soul. He is also like his mother, who had so many lovers, and his father has not been a role model to him. At all, obviously. Instead, Harry just chose to marry a woman who had similar values. William grew up in the same kind of environment that his brother did. His grandmother really helped him find himself. She listened to him. Maybe he had inherited some kind of dysfunctional behavior, but still you couldn't notice it. He didn't really have a childhood. His parents used him, especially his mother, so she wanted a man around the house. So even though William was a little boy, he had to man up pretty quickly. She made William the father over Harry. I suspect that by unburdening herself of a son like Harry, it made her feel less guilty, and probably thanks to his mother's interference, William didn't have any easy time finding a mate. He made that engagement last over a few years. But anyway, after his mother passed away, his father encouraged him to make a decision, so much like his brother did. He chose to marry a woman with similar values. But the thing is, William actually has good values. Unlike Harry, they were two brothers and they are on two very different paths his whole life. Harry has known that he is despair, that he would have defined function in life if and only if his brother passed away. Otherwise, he could just hang around being comfortable, but essentially, he was always going to be useless. He seems like he was unhappy when he was He seems like he was happy when he was serving officer in the army. He seems like he was happy when he was a serving officer in the army. Now, as long as Harry was in the job of a real army officer, taking a fighting role in Afghanistan, if he ever did that, he seemed pretty happy. But when he was no longer in the position, he started to fall apart completely. It could have been thanks to the messy divorce of his parents, as well as the traumatic and tragic passing of his mother, that did happen when he was a very vulnerable that did happen when he was at a very vulnerable age. Sadly, he met twice the Sadly, he met twice divorced Meghan Markle, and everything started to go downhill after that. She convinced Harry that he was so traumatized by his mother's death and that not being in line for the throne was wrong, and his family was so evil and racist, and from there on out, everything just fell apart even more. I do think there is a bit of double standard here too, because if a man were like Meghan Markle, if he exerted so much control over a woman, then we would call it a domestic violence. But because it's the other way around, apparently it's okay. When their mother passed away, when their mother passed away, William was a few years older than Harry and a lot more mature, so I think that he could see her as a human being. He saw her flaws like everybody else did. Harry was still a child though, so he saw everything in terms of black or white. Either she was a saint or a hero, or she was pure evil. And it seems like Harry is just stuck in this childish view, which Meghan Markle manipulates because she does exactly the same thing. See? See, she either idolizes somebody or she demonizes them. See, she she either idolizes somebody or she demonizes them. There is nothing in between. Sussex finally facing backfire. Meghan and Harry's plan to betray the British royal family in the US collapsed. A royal source has just come out to explain that Harry and Meghan's reality show, whereby the content of Harry's book is apparently not consistent with the content of the reality program, is a big problem. People are thinking the impact will strengthen the position of the royal family around the world. It will not weaken it after all. If the truths are inconsistent with apparent truths in the reality show, the source added. I think a better question would have been how people will perceive Harry and Meghan once the film and book are made public. I can't help but go back to the Oprah Winfrey interview whereby Gayle King, a US presenter, stated no stone will be left unturned regarding the questions put to the Sussexes. We know what happened there, don't we? At first, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what kind of impact the Ripple of Hope award ceremony has on the Earthshot Prize ceremony in Boston. The Earthshot Prize award ceremony is by invitation only, and it will only include a select few. The great and the good are going to be there, and those who don't get something so prized may feel diminished. On the other hand, the Ripple of Hope Awards will take place in New York just 4 days later, and it is a very different ball game now. My understanding is that anybody with enough money can buy a seat at Meghan and Harry's table. So people might pay the money just because they can say that they have met royalty if they do that. I'm not sure how exactly that's going to be a big accomplishment to brag about, but maybe I'm the crazy one. It just shows that cash really rules. William and Catherine are going to be looking dignified, they'll be poised and charming as always, and they will be welcoming to everybody. But I'm sure Meghan is planning some kind of PR blitz as well as an entrance and address that she hopes is going to wow everybody. and I'm sure she's going to make some kind of nonsensical, saccharine, sweet acceptance speech that nobody wants to hear. Meghan has made it her mission in her life to steal the throne from Catherine and William, and to prove to everybody, at least people in the US, that she is above Catherine in every single way, and that it's Meghan who should be supported and swooned over by the adoring public around the world. See, Meghan is convinced that there is no one better than her, no one more beautiful, no one more elegant, no one more classy. But anyway, back to the docu series. But anyway, back to the docu series. There are going to be a lot of people out there who believe every word in that thing, and they are going to continue to believe everything that Meghan and Harry come up with. They are going to be the same people who also believe every word they uttered during the horrible Oprah Winfrey interview and think that Meghan has really been hard done by the royal family. Now, probably also all those who took the crown as gospel truth in every way are going to be supporting this nonsense as well. Chances are, though, they are not going to pick up Harry's book, because I'm not even sure people like that. Chances are, though, they are not going to pick up Harry's book, because I'm not sure people like that can read. They are her own sugars, so I guess they are not so interested in the print, and they are not going to recognize all the discrepancies in the storylines or the facts, and if they look closely at it, they are just going to assume that it's Harry's interpretation of events Meghan has described, and that Harry must have it wrong. As for the rest, well, even though it's And if they look closely at it, they are just going to assume that it's Harry's interpretation of events that Meghan has described, and that Harry must have it wrong. As for the rest, well, even though it's blatantly a lie, Meghan's story that they actually married in the garden 3 days before the spectacle wedding is still believed by so many people, even though that has already been proven to be false. They also are convinced that the royal family is really racist. After all that, they also are convinced that the royal family is really racist. After all, that's not what the Ripple of Hope Awards is about. Meghan apparently has tricked the entire awards committee into believing her heroic battle against the royal family's alleged racism, and her story also reverberated around the world. So it's kind of difficult to say how much impact this series is going to have on the royal family, and whether any negative impact is going to have a long-term consequence. I sure hope not. I keep just telling myself the effect Meghan and Harry are having on the world is disappearing, but then there's another ridiculous event that happens that proves that they're hardly finished yet. But by accepting this prize, basically Harry will be alienated himself. But by accepting this prize, basically Harry will have alienated himself forever from his family to the point of no return. He has warned, if the discrepancies but the docu-series and Harry's book are obvious, I think the coals are going to be picked over and carefully dissected. Even the ashes are going to be dug through over and over again. The stories in both may be compared with facts recorded at that time, and if they are too different, I think some questions are going to be asked. Harry just continues to sink into the depths, and Meghan may reach rock bottom, or she is going to try to reinvent herself yet again with the help of her followers, people like Elton John. Is she gonna try to rise up again like a phoenix and finally get the success that she's so desperate for? By the time next year, by this time next year, we might have an answer. They are just going to rant and rave about the same old BS they have been whining about for the past 5 years. Harry's gonna revert back to when his father and mother divorced, and he's going to let us all know how much he despised his father in Camilla because he claims this is what ultimately killed his mother in the auto accident. After Harry's gonna revert back to when his father and mother divorced, and he's going to let us all know how much he despised his father for marrying Camilla, because he claims this is what ultimately killed his mother in the auto accident. After a period of time passed, he did get close to his father and Camilla, and then Meghan came along, and now shockingly he hates his father again and Camilla too. And the big kicker in that book is that he was not born first. Oh, that poor pity me spare routine is probably going to fill the majority of the book, and that's why he called it spare, or it is going to be all about his pent up anger and his jealousy. Poor Harry, he wanted to be king too, and William actually didn't just imagine how many chapters he may devote to this topic. He is such a spoiled, petulant brat. I assume he'll also have to dedicate a few chapters to discussing what his father did wrong, every misstep he ever made, and Harry's not going to bother mentioning the days that they laughed and smiled together and the fact that his father walked his wife down the aisle. I think this book is going to be very rough for Charles and Camilla. I think this book is going to be very rough for Charles. And Camilla is going to be very rough for Charles. And Camilla is going to get it too because she dared to have an affair with Charles. But everybody knew that already, so thanks to Harry for refreshing our memories. Everybody's going to get a few chapters about themselves, and any dirty little secrets are going to condemn them forever. And then we'll get to read the lovely dedication to his amazing wife, his savior and soulmate, his lover. Without her love, without her loyalty, he would be a nobody. She's really pulled him up out of the ashes in the fog that had been stuck in such a long time. She's going to show him the way he never understood how unhappy he was until she convinced him he was. She's going to show him the way he never understood how unhappy he was until she convinced him he was. She's such a smart woman. And now he's just thrilled. He's so grateful for her love. He's so grateful for her love, her devotion and loyalty, and that he just doesn't. He's so grateful for her love, her loyalty and her devotion, and that just doesn't want to let go of her hand. He hopes that he can stay with her until she's also 96, just like his grandmother. Harry tells everybody over and over that he enjoyed a very special relationship with his grandmother, but the way that he treated her when she most needed his love was pretty much non-existent. I mean, you can only show the drop the mic video so many times before it really gets tiresome. And finally, he'll discuss the royal family, or maybe the firm as Meghan refers to them. She or Harry are never, no matter what they do, going to successfully bring down the monarchy. They are actually given a lot more credit than they deserve. The two of them are a couple of idiots, and other than their fans who believe every word they say, nobody believes them. As enough, they are going to run out of money. The two of them are a couple of idiots, and other than their fans who believe every word they say, nobody believes them. Soon enough, they're going to run out of money, and soon enough, everybody will forget them. Netflix and Spotify were very foolish, thinking they could get the dirt on the royal family, and they've ended up just losing a lot of money. I understand the king cannot remove Harry and Meghan's titles. I understand the king cannot remove Harry and Meghan's titles unless it's approved by Parliament, but I hope that by not giving their invisible children any titles, that will finally put an end to all of this nonsense. Otherwise, Harry and Meghan are going to control this ridiculous bad mouthing of the royal family. And at the same time, they will still have their handout expecting so many privileges. Suspicion of stealing Sussexes charity. I don't think you will ever hear a past president of any of those countries say that she was anything less than gracious. She helped to foster unity so much. Obviously, this is just another case of Meghan Markle wanting attention. Her parents really spoiled her with their free love environment, their drug induced lifestyle, and their hippie beliefs. See, See, they thought that everybody was equal, nobody could be above another person. Everybody absolutely See, they thought that everybody was equal, nobody could be above another person. Everybody was on the same page. Her parents treated her like she was an adult, but she should have been treated like a child. I don't think she really had a childhood. She was thrown into the world of adults pretty early. On and apparently they never disciplined her. I think you can see the results of that now. Permissiveness Permissiveness was what they believed in. They treated her as an equal and she used their divorce against them. She knew how to manipulate them from an early age. She would lie to each of them and then she would lie to each of them and then she would reap the benefits of her uncontested truth. I mean, what kind of parent would allow her little girl to be on the stage of an adult TV show? What kind of father would allow his daughter to go into such an environment? On the show, there were sexual tensions. People were wearing very skin. On the show, there were sexual tensions. People were wearing very slinky outfits. They were a double and There were a double entendre words, and it was a drama that was simply not appropriate for a child of her age. Now, I'm sure her father was saving a lot of money because he didn't have to get a babysitter for her. But what he created was an evil woman who was a big bully. She had the very best teachers, her parents. She found out the easy way by the example She found out the easy way by example how relationships between men and women could work. The woman used sex is a commodity The woman used sex as a commodity, and she would uphold her confused husband while keeping his money or whatever else she wanted. She acted out this performance with her own father and got whatever she wanted without him realizing it, and then she took these lessons beyond her parents' outrage. She acted out a lot and was successful in each of the she acted out a lot and was successful in each of her She acted out a lot and she was successful in each of her performances. She has always been desperate for attention and she's always wanted to cause happy people to feel miserable. She wanted money that was not controlled by Harry's family. She was sick and tired of the restrictive rules of the royal family. She wanted freedom, she wanted equality, and she wanted Harry and his family to be so incredibly unhappy. She's a big fan of stalking people too, copying them, mimicking them, overshadowing them, and trying to make herself out to be better than they are. She wanted to be the queen, but that was only going to exist in her fantasy world. So she found Harry a naive friend. Now is a, as So she found Harry a naive friend. Now one is as bad as the other. Both of them are showing their true character. They are showing themselves to be the traitors to their own family, but everybody knows exactly what's going to happen to traitors in the end. They are never going to be trusted. They showed themselves to be incredibly dangerous by the way that they've tried to sink their own families. At this point, if people cannot see through them, then I'm afraid they are just a gullible At this point, if people cannot see through them, then I'm afraid they are just as gullible as Harry is. But they're going but they are going to get what's coming to them eventually. Everything about Meghan is fake. She's got a fake face, her hair is fake, and she is so trashy. She thinks the title has bought her class, but it certainly has not. And Harry was desperate to get married, so clearly he made a big mistake in that. I guess love really is blind. Harry dated some lovely women in the past, but he ended up with a narcissist but he ended up with a narcissist who has made herself into a mother figure to him. Harry has acted so horribly. The way he treated his grandmother was despicable, so he deserves whatever he had. So he deserves whatever he has coming to him. It just goes to sh- it just goes to show It just goes to show what Harry was really like deep inside. See, putting a narcissist first is not going to work out well in the end. Meghan is obsessed with money. She wants to be so wealthy. She wants to own a lot of expensive homes. She wants nothing but designer clothing, and she wants a lot of expensive jewelry too. She feels entitled to anything she wants, and she wants to be viewed as an equal by everybody she admires. People like Serena Williams, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Clooney, Anna Wintour, and many more. Meghan wanted to be the star of the royal family, but it was too late for that, and she was just too frustrated she couldn't handle it. She wants to be considered as always right, which is why she has a puff heir into the least important disagreement which is why she has to puff air into the least important disagreement so that the 50 million people are gonna rush take her side. She really wants to be surrounded by sycophants. Now Meg She really wants to be surrounded by sycophants. Now Megan loves curtsying when it comes to somebody curtsying to her. She had the smug look on her face as somebody was cursing. Now Megan loves cursing when it comes to somebody cursing to her. She had that smug look on her face as somebody was cursing to her during her talk about the wedding dress. Megan really wants people to admire her, and she does have that, at least from some very dumb American stars and a lot of millennials who consider themselves sugars. I've got to say, for a person with NPD, she is pretty successful if attention, riches, and qualified admiration are the right measures of success. But still, Meghan Markle will never be satisfied. She's always going to have that chip on her shoulder, and she is filled with rage. Meghan is still wanting something, but what could it be? Well, we can be sure that Harry, artificial and invisible, if the two of them are real, they are going to be paying for Meghan's dissatisfaction. Now, Meghan aspires to emulate a lot of people, but I don't think they admire her at all. Unlike people such as Oprah or George Clooney, Meghan does not have any talent, and she doesn't have any empathy either, so she's never going to be this great humanitarian. Now, that's something that Michelle Obama also hinted at recently. Meghan also is allergic to hard work. She sees herself appearing for a photo op at a charity for 10 minutes as the most that she should ever have to do. Now, Meghan has achieved infamy, which I guess she's happy about. But I wonder if this is her 15 minutes of fame. She's a one-trick pony. She doesn't have much to offer except playing the victim of the nasty British royal family, and that's gonna disappear a lot faster than she believes. That's gonna disappear a lot faster than she believes. See, there's no millage in the angle. Meghan is gonna have to find something else. But what exactly is that? Please continue to Please continue to discuss Meghan Markle with us below in the comments section, and we can discuss her and the royal family. If you think my video is useful, don't forget to like and share with your friends and family who would love it. And please click the subscribe button below to get more updates from our channel. Now, thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye, and we'll see you back. And we will be back to see you in the next videos. One of Prince Harry's former flings is opening up on a short-lived relationship with the Duke of Sussex, Catherine Omni, who dated Harry briefly in 2006 when she was 34 years old and he was only 21 years old, admitted she had had the time of her life with the prince, but there were some times he could be a bit childish. Catherine, a divorced mother of two, known for starring on The Real Housewives of DC, met Harry in a London bar in May 2006. The duo sparked a romance after the now 38-year-old asked her to hop in the Range Rover and go with him to an upscale nightclub where he whisked her away to the club's VIP area. I started chatting to someone and Harry took the cloth out of the champagne bucket and put it over my head. She confessed that the younger man's shocking antics. I was a bit upset because it was freezing. I told him to stop being so needy. That's not the way to behave. Harry's security, who witnessed the playful prank, immediately stepped in and warned him against causing a scene. As Catherine recalled, they told him off, saying, "Get a grip. You can't behave like that." The 50-year-old television personality added, I saw him get told off like that a few times. After claiming she needed to go home, Catherine said that the prince swept her up for a kiss by lifting her by a waist and holding her against the wall. Catherine said he gave me the most incredible passionate kiss I've ever had in my life. I was absolutely speechless. The fling only lasted a few days after the initial meeting, but that was quite all right with Catherine, who explained he was only 21. So a relationship was the furthest thing from my mind. The interior designer made the decision to talk publicly about a romance with Harry, following the news that you'd be discussing some of his ex-girlfriends in his coming memoir. Nothing that she expected she wouldn't be included in the bombshell tunnel. Catherine said, "We had some mutual friends in the property business and he introduced himself. Meghan is going to be furious. She's insanely jealous, even of exes." According to Women's Day Australia, Meghan has been keeping a jealous eye on Prince Harry's ex-girlfriend Cressy Bonas. Cressy dumped Harry so she could be taken seriously as an actress, and it's paying off. She's been scoring plump theatre roles and a lot of respect in London, which is something Meghan always wanted to achieve but couldn't crack. The source said it doesn't help that there's been no movement on her career even now she's back in LA. Every time Cressy gives an interview hinting that she chose a career over Harry, Meghan feels personally attacked, the source added. The tabloid was uploaded a side-by-side The tabloid also uploaded a side-by-side photo of Markle and Bonas taken on two different occasions. The tabloid also uploaded a side-by-side photo of Markle and Bonas taken on two different occasions, since Markle is looking to the left and Bonas' photo on the left side of the page. The tabloid included a cryptic caption, "Meghan likes to keep Harry's exes in check," it read. Prince Harry and Bonas dated for a few years before they decided to call it quits, and according to royal author Katie Nicole, it was Bonas that wanted to end the relationship in the book Harry, Life, Loss and Love. Nicole said that the Bonas had a chance of heart regarding Prince Harry and Bonas dated a few years before they decided to call it quits, according to royal author Katie Nicole. It was Bonas that wanted to end the relationship in the book. Prince Harry and Bonas dated a few years before they decided to call it quits, according to royal author Katie Nicole. It was Bonas that wanted to end the relationship in the book Harry, Life, Loss and Love. Nicole said that Bonas had a change of heart regarding a relationship after watching Prince William and Catherine's royal tour of Australia in 2014. Bonas allegedly realized that she didn't want the attention that is usually given to the members of the royal family. As such, she told Prince Harry that it's time to end things. The Duke of Sussex reportedly tried to convince Bonas to stay with him, and when she refused, Prince Harry was heartbroken. After all, these two girlfriends both didn't want to end up with him because he's a member of the royal family.